morning. Hope everybody's having an awesome Thursday. Dr. Jeff Moore here, currently serving as faculty for both cervical and lumbar spine divisions at ICE, as well as currently serving as our CEO. Hope everyone having an awesome Thursday, have a good weekend coming up. What's going on in ICE world? First of all, I'm pumped about this topic. We're going to talk about selling different parts of the treatment. But before we jump into it, a lot going on in ICE world. As always, Thursday, Gut Check Thursday. So let's get after it. This one coming from Jesse Witherington, one of our South College students, coming from the mind of Jesse Witherington. We've got 4 time. So just one quick run through. Goal is of course to go unbroken and go hard. We've got 30 calorie row, 30 box jump overs, 30 deadlifts, prescribed weight 155, 105, 30 wall balls, and 30 calorie row. So we're not going rounds. We're just going as hard as we can to rush through that workout. Going to be fun seeing somebody really get the RPMs up. Can't wait to see all the videos pouring in. So it's Gut Check Thursday, and that's the stimulus. As far as courses, we have a million courses going on. Next weekend alone, on April 17th, 18th, here's a handful of them. We'll have CMFA, Fitness Athlete Live. That's going to be Mitch Babcock, is going to be in Virginia. We've got Older Adult Live, going to be up with our friends in Victor, New York. Jordan Berry, I believe, is going to be out in Phoenix with cervical spine. And I'll be down in at the new Onward Greenville space. So if you're tracking the Onward Physio world, we just are opening up our physical location, Jess and Cody Gingrich down in Greenville, South Carolina. So I'll be doing the first ICE course down there next weekend. That'll be lumbar spine in Greenville. So a lot of courses going on, a lot of live courses April 17th, 18th. So as always, pt.ice.com for all the goods there. All right. For those of you who are at Sampler, we talked a bit about architecting the perfect session. So we had this conversation about, what is the best use of your 60 minutes, right? So if you have an hour, and obviously you can multiply that by some sort of a decimal to adjust the ratios for your time with your patients. But what is the best use? How should you design that treatment session for maximal effect? And one of the things we talked about was that maybe we're highlighting or emphasizing selling, creating motivation around the wrong part of the treatment. Not that we shouldn't be doing it, but it should be an and, not or combination. So what I mean by that is if you want to be selling, you need to have what the patient already wants. This is very important, right? In any business, you've got to have what the customer wants. So you've got to have that. But you've got to sell what differentiates you. If we really think about how we want to put our message out there and what we're actually trying to accomplish, you need to have what they want, but you've got to sell what makes you different and special. If you had to pick one thing, certainly in this culture that we've created around ICE and in the way that we go about rehab, if you had to pick one thing to highlight what makes you different, what would you say it is? We would argue it's probably that we can architect fitness stimuli even in the presence of musculoskeletal pain or dysfunction or restriction. So we can architect a fitness stimulus that often decreases pain while providing a strength and conditioning result, right? Whether that is to meet a performance goal or whether it's to meet the goal of achieving an ADL. But that's what's so unique about us is that we can manage symptoms while we maximize fitness. And it's that ability. Plenty of professions and people are on either side of that, right? Can either manage symptoms, do soft tissue work, do manipulation, do things to alleviate symptoms. Or there's a lot of people who can develop strength and conditioning, right? There's whole fields surrounding the ability to take a human and program different ways to get them stronger, get them fitter. What makes us unique, our cell, is that we can architect that fitness in the presence of issues and actually address the issues with the fitness. It's the combination in the ability to create those recipes for each individual patient on each individual session that makes us truly unique out there in the healthcare space. The problem is we're not selling that part. Right? We don't tend to demonstrate the value of that fitness stimulus nearly as well as we could. What I mean by that is historically, we've been really good. And don't mishear me here. We need to continue to be good. I'm not saying stop this part. But we've been really good at selling by testing and retesting before and after the passive intervention, these symptom modulating components of the treatment, right? Think about the soft tissue work you do. Think about the needling you do, the spinal manipulation you do, right? We are pretty good at measuring how the patient's doing right before you do that, and then measuring how we're doing right after we apply that stimulus. How has the pain changed? How has the movement changed? And generally speaking, that patient gets up and says, oh, look, I'm able to bend further now, right? I'm really glad we did that. There was value there. I'm pumped I came in. We love that, right? And that should go on forever, right? It's great that we do that. But the patient already wants that stuff. Like, it's not very hard to talk the patient in to receiving soft tissue massage, right? Or receiving manipulation. In fact, one of the common complaints around those interventions is that the patient becomes dependent on them. Right? They only want those things, right? They seek them out and they want to stay in that lane. So my argument would be that while we should absolutely be testing and retesting around those interventions, we probably don't need to sell that part quite as hard. What's important about that part is that the consumer knows we offer it. That's really important. Because like I said, they already want it. They're already seeking out, right? There's been some really nice, very basic survey studies done years ago that when people have neck or back pain, they seek out spinal manipulation. They seek out soft tissue massage. They already expect that those things are going to work for them. So the key is they know that if they come to you, that will be part of the treatment. What I don't think is quite as key is that they are encouraged or sold on the benefits because they already expect the benefits. That's why they're seeking those things out. Still do it because it's still a huge way during the initial part of the treatment for them to say, oh, cool, it did work. I thought it was going to work and it did work. I'm feeling better, right? I'm now more willing to move. My pain sensitivity is low. My muscles are firing better. I'm now excited about the exercise component of this treatment because I'm feeling more up for it. So absolutely keep doing that. But because they already desire it and have a great expectation, we probably don't have to sell quite as hard on that section. Keep doing it, but let's extend that sale into the things that we think, number one, make us unique, and number two, we think are more important. What I mean by that is think about that last patient you had in who's had chronic recurrent, right? Not necessarily persistent, but recurrent back pain over the past 10 to 15 years, right? They're very flexophobic. They don't like to bend forward. When you do lumbar flexion, active range of motion, there's really no lumbar flexion, right? They're hinging at their hips. They don't want to let their lumbar spine flex because they're afraid of that movement. It was how they got hurt. It's something they protected against for a long time. So they're concerned about it. Because of that, they've lost significant range of motion. They don't move that area very much. We know how analgesic movement is. They're not moving the area. It's becoming stiff. It's becoming sore. It's limiting their functional capacity. Okay. We then do some great manual therapy when that person comes in. That might include some cupping, right, to get some of those soft tissues moving. Maybe we needle some of that stuff. We get in there and do some great mobs, give them a nip. They get up and say, oh man, my back feels better, right? They bend forward a bit more. They're a bit more willing. Great. But now the key is you've got your baseline measurement because really it was the post-test measurement of the passive intervention, but it really serves as the pre-test assessment for the fitness intervention. Because now you're going to design this remom, right? You're going to maybe have some non-weight bearing lumbar flexion, right? Maybe it's quadruped stuff. Maybe there's a band back there that encourages them to press that lumbar spine into it. And they're now going in and out of non-weight bearing lumbar flexion, something they don't do very often. You're cueing them to breathe, right? To relax, to encourage that parasympathetic activity, to get out of the fight and flight response. So here's this human, right? Part of their every minute on the minute remom, right, is doing non-weight bearing lumbar flexion repetitively. Then they're jumping on the arm bike or the assault bike and they're getting their heart rate way up. Then the third minute of their EMOM is they're opening up their hips. Maybe they're doing some 90-90 work. And now they're back cycling through these three things, maybe for 12 to 16 minutes. When they're done with that, this is the moment I'm telling you that we're missing. Because far more profound, you would expect in this patient compared to what you can do passively. If you just got their heart rate spiked for 16 minutes, they went through maybe 70 or 80 non-provocative lumbar flexion stimuli and they opened up their hips, we would expect when we go to look at their lumbar flexion that they drop down and say, wow, whatever we just did, right? Whatever we just did, now my back feels a lot better. Well, what we just did was fitness. And now we've sold fitness, right? In the same way we've sold the passive intervention. Think of how profound that is. Because now not only are you not fostering dependence on passive care, you're actually making patients say, well, hold on a second, right? Maybe I could do this every day and I wouldn't have back issues. Now they're starting to realize maybe this is where I should be. Maybe I don't need to keep seeking out passive intervention because there's this other thing that I can do that has every bit as big of an effect, if not more. Now, the beauty is what we know is not only does it have that effect on back pain, but you just got their heart rate elevated for 16 minutes. We just opened up range of motion in hips that have gotten stiff. We've just done so many other things beyond decrease their back pain that are massively valuable for that patient. So now we're getting them interested to seek out a stimulus that has the same, if not better, effect on decreasing symptoms, but also has all of these other incredible positive sequelae. This is the jam, right? This is the part we want the patient sold on. And this is the part they don't expect that is going to help them. They already expect the passive stuff is going to help. But they're generally afraid of movement, right? That dude I just described, he's been avoiding bending. Not only does he not think bending forward is going to help, he's terrified of it. He thinks it's going to make him worse. So when you're done doing it, when you use that skill set you have to architect a fitness stimulus in the presence of dysfunction, what you show him is that is not the correct interpretation of the role fitness can play in his or her life, right? Why does it work so well? Because movement's analgesic. Because getting your heart rate up dumps chemicals into your system, right? Endogenous morphine that has incredible pain-gating properties. So of course, when they're done with fitness, they feel better. The majority of people who walk into a CrossFit class sore, walk out feeling looser and feeling better, right? Movement is by nature analgesic, but humans need to see that. They need to be with someone they trust to design a fitness stimulus that isn't going to make them worse. Because you're darn right it's possible. We could overload these people either mentally or physically, right? We could overextend beyond their physical or psychological irritability and make them significantly worse with a fitness stimulus. That's why it's so cool that you have this skill set to nuance fitness stimuli in the presence of these relevant variables. My point is, when you leverage that unique skill set, make sure the patient sees the value because you test and retest before and after it in the same way you do that around the passive interventions. One other great opportunity, another big miss, is when somebody comes in and they've got mild enough symptoms walking in the door. Maybe it's visit 4, 5, or 6, and they say, Doc, I'm doing a lot better. Like I'm doing our stuff right. I'm going in the right direction. I really only got 1 or 2 out of 10 back pain. Do you really need to do the passive stimuli now? Or could you say to the patient, well, we know that your remom's going to knock that out. Can we just jump right into it? And now is the day they realize I no longer need passive care. I can just use fitness to both decrease my pain and improve my overall physical functioning and improve my strength and conditioning and improve my longevity, my mortality, my metabolic health. Now I can just do this. I don't need the other stuff. So there's that treatment session where because you've sold them on the value in the symptom alleviating properties of fitness historically, on the day they walk in with mild symptoms, you can just use the fitness lever and jump right to it. Here's one other thing to think about, right? When that person comes in on visit 6 and you've been working on lifestyle behaviors with them, like sleep, right? And they come in and say, you know what, Doc, I finally got serious about it. This week, I've been sleeping a lot better. Before you do anything, this is where you remeasure your subjective and physical asterisk signs, because when they're better, when someone sleeps really well 3 nights in a row, their neurological processing shifts in a very adaptive way, right? We've seen that in the studies we talk about in our courses. People who are sleep deprived have hypersensitive neurological processing, right? They have lower pressure pain threshold and heat pain threshold. They have more spontaneous pain. They have higher pain levels. When people commit to sleeping well and execute on that, their nervous system tends to process the environment in a more robust fashion. So now they come in. The moment they say, I've been sleeping better, I've been committed, I've been eating less sugar, I've been doing the things you've been asking me to do to maybe change my inflammatory levels or my nervous system processing, I've been doing those things. Great. Donna, let's have a look at how you're doing because of it. Now you remeasure, and this is the best that she started off any session yet, and she realizes, that's right. I gotta be doing this stuff. This is why I'm doing it. This is why I committed to sleeping better. This is why I committed to eating better. Because look at me. I'm starting off this session better than I've started off any session yet because I'm making the lifestyle behavior changes. We need to be using our reassessment skill set to show this patient that not only do the passive things that we're doing bring significant improvements, but the active things we're doing, the lifestyle behavior things we're doing, bring even more. If we're serious about not just changing back pain, but about changing lives, let's use our test-retest model to drive motivation around those things. Because those are really the things that we need to sell the patient on. It's following fitness when they say, you know what, if you would have told me, I would have thought that it would have felt worse, but I got to give it to you, doc. My back feels a lot looser. I feel a lot better. I'm glad we did that. I didn't think that fitness would ever decrease my pain. I thought exercise would increase my pain. That's the sale you got to make. You don't need to talk them into rubbing their back. They already think rubbing their back is going to feel good. Please test and retest around it. But use that post-test as a pre-test for the fitness stimulus that makes you unique in healthcare, challenges their most deeply seated beliefs, and shifts towards changing lives, not just changing back pain. Give that some thought. Give some thought about, are we selling the wrong thing? Do we need to be highlighting other components of our treatment that actually drive more actual change in the humans we're trying to serve? I think if you get a little more intentional, you're going to see folks bought in to the areas that we believe change lives, not pain. Let me know what you think. PTOnice.com team, as always, great to be on the show. Hope to see you soon. Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend. Hopefully, we're going to see a lot of you at one of those courses next weekend. Cheers, everybody.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.